And just a shift from reactive to proactive.
Yeah, proactive is the word I'm looking.
Right? Shift from sickness to health. Shift from a burden on my shoulders to feeling lighter. And that's what knowing does. And because really it's about getting to the core, having control, having ownership, having responsibility, and having empowerment. And tell me you wouldn't rather be in control and have ownership and responsibility and empowerment, or would you rather just give that away? Please, anyone listening, don't feel like it's, you just get thrown this report and get to figure it out all yourself. You're not. There's me, there's someone always by your side to provide that guiding hand of understanding and support as well. Chronological years, I am 52.
Right.
And biological years, I am...
What the? Hello, everybody. I'm delighted today on How to Have Extraordinary Relationships podcast to be with Dr. Alka Patel. Some of you may know of her and some of you may not, but she is Dr. Alka. She's a longevity expert and she is the founder of the Million Hour Club. And we're going to find out all about how to stay healthy longer. I'm sure part of it is around happiness and what the Million Hour Club is. So hello, Alka, and thank you so much for agreeing to the podcast and being here today. How are you feeling? Tell us how you're feeling.
Oh, I'm feeling amazing. I love to give numbers to feelings. So right now I'm a 9 of energy. That's what I'm feeling.
You're a 9 of energy and you look really healthy. You're sort of glossy and glowing and you've got amazing hair. So tell us about what you do and tell us about longevity and how you got so many questions, how you got into it. What do we all need to know if we're going to live longer?
I guess we've got to start with what longevity is, right? It's like at the moment it's that buzzword and there's so much conversation around it. And what really is it? And what does it mean? And what does it give you? I like to break it down a little bit. So we've got lifespan, which is the span of your life, how long you live. And then in there we've got health span. So how healthy those years are, how long you're likely to be healthy. And then longevity is that mix of all of that. How many years are healthy years? And can we really extend that potential in every human being to live longer, stronger, younger, healthier?
Yes, because when I hear things like live to the 100, I just think, God, I really don't want to live to 100. Because I kind of think, what are you going to do till you're 100? And I think because I think about pain and and you see old people, they just look in pain. I'm like, well, I don't want to be doubled up walking along the street with a walking stick and not being able to remember a single thing. But that's not what you're saying, is it?
Not at all. And I think we have to start by undoing those images, right? We all have these kind of visual representations and visual images of what old is, what age is. And it's exactly as you say, why do you want the wrinkles and why do you want to be walking in a room and not knowing why you're there and why and you don't want that. You don't want the pain. Of course we don't. But there's this sort of new definition of getting older and aging now. And what I want people to sort of reimagine is what if that wasn't the case? What if you did have that vitality of 20, 30, 40 years ago now? And I don't say this sort of hypothetically, Lucy. It's real, it's feasible because this is such an incredible time to be alive. If you think about what's at our fingertips now that's already available to us in terms of what do we know about ourselves? Like what do you know about yourself and what do you know about your trajectory? Like genuine question to you. What do you know
Oh,
about your
what do I know about myself? Okay, here's what I think I know. Ha! Um, I am a pretty together, pretty happy. I think I'm a natural born optimist.
okay.
I'm like Snoopy dancing like that. Woo! I'm like everything's great, everything's fine. No, 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 no. So
Okay.
I have a natural propensity to look on the bright side of life. Now I know there's lots of studies which say that actually pessimists see it in a more real way than optimists.
Mm. Well, the studies that I like to look at are the ones that show that optimists add 7 years to their life.
Ah.
There you go. Like that, you get to live 7 years longer by being a glass half full woman, right?
So when people come onto your website, and we'll give you directions to where to go to, there is a questionnaire to fill in, and it's not just about things like do you drink, do you smoke? It's also about emotional things, isn't it? Do you want to tell me a bit
Yeah.
about that and how that
When
works?
you take a really holistic look at your life, and when you look at your lifespan, back to how long do you want to live, what we know is that your lifespan is determined by your lifestyle.
Yes.
And that's another word, lifestyle. Like, what really is that? How it's how
Yes, yes. What is lifestyle?
lifestyle. So it's how you style your life, right? And again, what even is that? So I went through a sort of a little bit of a difficult phase in my life when I got very burnt out physically, and I had to learn for myself what areas of my lifestyle I needed to really focus on in order to just resurrect myself and come back to the world. And that's where my research took me into, like you said, it's not just about what you eat and how you sleep and how you move, the food, exercise, sleep. We know that. But like I've already said, emotions play a big part in length of life, in joy of life, life's purpose. Again, magic number seems to be seven, but you add 7 years to your life if you have a purpose to your life, that sense of having a reason to be on this planet. And I don't mean that sort of purpose in terms of, I want a statue in the middle of Trafalgar Square, right? Or,
Quite
maybe.
like that, yeah.
Right, that would be quite nice, actually. But I mean, just in terms of why do your feet touch the ground every day in your waking day? Like, if you know the purpose of your day, then you're going to end up knowing the purpose of your week, your month, your year, and then your life. And that's super important, right? And that does, again, we know from research that adds that longevity, but also that fulfillment and that richness in life as well. So yes, so this questionnaire that I developed, it's called the LQ, the longevity quotient. And it's come from science and it's come from research and looking at all those areas in your lifestyle, 10 in total, that make up what really defines longevity: life's purpose, your identity, food, exercise, sleep, time out and restoration, habits that we were talking about earlier, emotions as well. And what is that sort of driver? What's that human driver in you as well that gets you to do the things? All these things play a really big part. And so you can find out your LQ, it's like your IQ and your
Yes.
EQ, but more importantly, know where to start. Because this is the biggest thing is what I find is that when people are say to me, oh, I'm on a health kick, or I actually want to work on my health, but I don't know where to start. What most people tend to start with is the thing that they're already quite good at, right?
Oh yeah, although I mean, yeah. So I couldn't go on a fast. Those fasting retreats, I'd absolutely no way.
Good. Yeah. So, you won't do food, but like, suppose you were, you loved exercise. Well, you'll end up wanting to finesse that and really get great at that, ignoring the big thing that, you don't sleep for more than 4 hours a night. So you've got to start with that big rock, right? And
Right.
that's what the LQ gives you. It's like,
It
what's that?
identifies the area that's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And go for it. And gives you the tools to do that as well, which is so important.
So you said you burned out. How do people know? So we use again, it's another thing we use. Oh, I'm burned out. How do people know if they're getting burned out? What signs are we looking for?
So typically, most people associate burnout with an emotional burnout, a mental burnout. And I think it's really important to make a distinction between burnout and stress. Again, two words that are just thrown
Mm,
out
mm.
all the time. So if you think of stress, it feels like sort of overwhelm and on edge and too much.
Yeah.
Burnout is the opposite. It's wanting to be disjointed from what's going on, feeling that sense of not being a part, feeling like it is still too much, but you
Ah,
disassociate. But the other important thing I want people to remember is also the physical side of burnout that is so easy to ignore. The headache, the tension, the gut rumbling, all of those things, the not sleeping, the pains, these are all signals from your body that it's, enough. And if you don't listen to those little whispers, guess what happens? The big shouts, right? The big cancer, the big diabetes, the big heart attack, then you have to pay attention. But all those signals that say, listen, it's too much, I just need a bit of time out, they're there. But busy people, entrepreneurial people, people who are on a mission, we don't listen.
so what contributes to burnout? I mean, why did you get burned out? You don't need, if you don't want to say that's fine, but I'm just wondering what, did you overwork? Were you striving to, I mean, if we're worker bees, lots of us are worker bees. You know, it's I must work, that's what I do, and I must achieve, that's what I do. And there's all sorts of reasons why we have that. But if you're
Mm.
a worker bee, it's very hard, isn't it, you may be working and effectively you may be overworking.
Yeah, and I love that. I think, if you approach work with that degree of passion and it gives you that fulfillment and it gives you that joy and you are that worker bee who thrives on it, the sort of person that people say, oh, when you go on holiday, you should switch off your laptop and disconnect from the world. But maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe that causes you more stress. So I
Yeah,
really,
yeah. Some people it's like, oh, I'm rather stressed now. Yeah. I
yeah.
like working. It's great. I don't want to not work
Exactly.
now.
Exactly. So you have to tap into that in that sort of relationship between yourself and yourself, really. But you've also got to be super, super mindful of when too much is too much because we're not designed, just as humans and physiology, we are not designed to go, go, go. We are designed to oscillate. And that oscillation for the worker bee, the queen bee, the busy bee, doesn't have to be sitting on a beach doing nothing, right? That's not right. What is super easy to do is to impregnate moments of down in
Mm,
your hour, in your day, in your week, in your month, and allow yourself to do that without it feeling like you're having to take time out to go and sit under a tree for 4 hours to meditate, right? No one wants to do that.
mm, mm.
It's important.
Yeah. So you're helping them. This is big work you're doing, isn't it? A
Hmm.
lot of people to take in. So why do people come? How do they, why do they come to you? What are the main reasons people come to you?
Probably two big reasons. One is at one end, there's the people who've got a diagnosis they don't want. I've got high blood pressure, just don't want it. I've got all these pills, I don't want to take them for my diabetes. I've got symptoms, issues, the gut's not
Mm,
right. I think there's something wrong. It's that. But
mm,
also the bigger cohort is now this wave of wanting to feel at your most optimum. Those health enthusiasts, people who want health optimization, and particularly again, when you look at people in business, executives, entrepreneurs, celebrities who seemingly have it all. What's the one thing that you really want when you feel you've got, wealth and you've got that level of success that you want? The most important thing you want is your health and your vitality and your energy to enjoy life and
mm.
experience life. So that's why they come to me to feel at that optimized level of health and energy.
And is there a sort of psychological, I mean, is there a psychological bent to it as well? I mean, it's sometimes, is there, do you do kind of that work with people around what is sort of emotionally and mentally holding you back? You've got everything. I mean, I meet people with a lot of money and they're not happy.
Yeah,
Happy, you're like, you can have anything you want, really. I'm
yeah.
not happy. There's something more existential going on.
There is, and that's an important piece of work. And I when I was sort of looking for something for myself as well, it's almost, if you can't find it, become it. If you can't find it, create it. And so I've got myself qualifications in therapy, a form of therapy called acceptance and commitment therapy, which really allows you to tap into your values and tap into your drivers and be committed to that and accepting that life is up and down. Like we don't want it to be a straight line. We want to experience every emotion, no matter how painful it can feel, but to still feel committed to knowing the person that you are. So that work on identity and values and purpose is so important. But I also believe that the body, we need to pay homage to that. It's a bit chicken and egg. What comes first, mindset or your body?
Mm,
You need to, if we take weight, for example, really common topic, if do you need to lose some weight to then feel motivated to do the thing that helps you lose weight, or do you need to shift all your mindset and beliefs around weight before you can actually start doing the physical things that help you to shed the weight?
mm,
And I do believe that biochemistry trumps everything. Your biology trumps it all, which is why my approach to medicine itself is a precision focus. It's data driven. It's driven by having that intelligence to know yourself really, really sort of objectively, which is why when you asked me what my energy is like, I gave it a number because the numbers then can nudge me. It's like, okay, what do I need to do on this conversation with Lucy to nudge me to a 10? Right.
mm.
Once you can sort of start applying that to what you do, and the emotional piece is super important. Back to that innate intuition, like emotionally, intuitively, we know how to eat and we know how to sleep and we know how to move. And you don't need a doctor with 25 years of
No,
medical,
no, that's right. We do know. I
right?
didn't say we do it, but we do.
Exactly.
Most of us now know what is healthy to eat and what isn't. Most people are pretty educated about that now, but that doesn't mean to say we do it.
Right, exactly. And that's why think about the time that we're living in. Can we use data and information to help us make decisions? Because the moment you can see it, so when I test, for example, is if I test your biological age, if I test your nutritional levels, if I test your cortisol hormone, talking about stress, and you see that it's high, high, high all day, you're going to do something about it more than the feeling.
Yes.
They both need to go together. You've got to tap into that innate intuition, and you've got to be able to use this transformative technology that's around us to bring in these worlds together to make the changes that you know to make.
So you're testing people. People go and you do a set of tests, do you, and to give them their, what did you say, biological age?
Yes, so the set of tests. So here's what I believe. I believe that if you want to get ahead in life, you've got to get ahead in health first before anything else. You've got to take utmost care of this vessel of life and really feel in the best shape you can to be able to make decisions, to be able to enjoy the things that you do. And I say get ahead because I've identified like my big five, AHEAD. I love acronyms. It's
Yeah.
great. So age is one test. Like, do you know how old you are?
Yeah, as in terms of your body.
Right,
So
exactly.
I'm 58, but my body might be 68.
Yeah, it could be
Or might be
exactly
48, we don't know.
right. And either way, once you know that, you're going to do something because it does determine your trajectory. This is real science. This isn't just a stand on a machine and see what it tells you or have some algorithm. This is real science, and we can test a blood test, finger prick test, and you can test. The other thing to test is your hormones. So back to cortisol,
Yeah.
estrogen, testosterone for men, all of these things are super, super important. And they play out in symptoms and how you feel as well, back to that, emotional part as well. And then something called your ecosystem, AHE, which is my way of talking about your gut, right?
Right.
This
Yes.
lovely, wonderful ecosystem that we have inside of us, your microbiome, how diverse it is. What's your gut health like? Are you digesting well? What's the lining of your gut like? What's going on? Is everything as it should be? Because there's this real center here, that
Yes.
gut
Yes.
feeling
You've got a
means
brain in your gut.
right, exactly. I have a gut feeling, the second brain, all these things that we
Yeah.
hear,
Really
these
important.
buzzwords. There's again, real science behind it, and we're just uncovering it. We really are just getting to it. Then we've got something called anabolism, which I don't want you to confuse with cannibalism. I'm not asking you to eat yourself, right? It's related to metabolism, how you make energy. We're an energetic being. We've got
Yes.
to know how to radiate that. And thank you for saying I was glowing when
You're
you
glowing. You look amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
but we radiate what's within. I do believe in this inside out approach to health and beauty as well. Is we've got to fix inside and let that glow out as well. And then the final AHEAD is your DNA, right? So when I said, do you know
Okay.
what you need? No.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There's all those areas. They're big areas, aren't they?
They are, and it's right to your core, Lucy, because the point of testing, for example, is not just to get a set of results. It's for you to have a really precise action plan of knowing exactly what to do for you, rather than what somebody on Instagram told you or what your best friend next door said worked for her. It's knowing exactly for you what is right, and therefore you're not wasting time doing the things that are, off the shelf care. What you want is strategic self-care, to be really strategic about how you take care of yourself and make it fun. Like we've got to have some level of joy and excitement
Yeah.
about it, haven't we?
So what are the three most important things that people that I mean, do you get more women than men or do you get equal amounts? So I think women are more into this than men, but I could be wrong.
Interesting. So what I find is that men make quicker decisions. So when it comes to health, it's sort of like, right, yes, I'm doing it. It's that sort of, approach. Once they're ready, they're ready. More women want to sort of be able to to understand it more. And this is very general, sort of,
Yes,
I've got,
no. I've asked you a general question. So.
yeah, exactly. But you can see why that might be. And so men are quicker to go, but also quicker to stop. What that honeymoon period
Yeah.
falls. Women are in there for the long haul, much more. And I think that, and both are important. You've got to have that get up and go and that gumption to say, yes, I'm committed to my health. And guess what? I do want to live a million hour life. I do want to be on this planet as long as I can with as much health in me as possible and really feel committed to that and make that pledge. And that's why I set up the Million Hour Club, to be fair, because it gives you that.
But what happens in the Million Hour Club?
So in the Million Hour Club, so what it is, it's an online club as such, and brings together health enthusiasts, let's say health optimizers, and the aim is to set that target of I do want to live a million hour life, which if we work it out
Yeah,
is
what does that get us to?
yeah, it's us to 114.
114? Oh my God, I so don't want to live to 114. So I know I won't because I don't want to. I mean, I just no, thank you. Just let me go.
And I hear that as
I'm
well.
trying to in the next bit. I bet there's a point where you're like, God, I've been here for so goddamn long. I mean, I think I get bored. I get bored quite easily. I just feel like this is, another day.
Oh my God, there's so much to do in life. No, there's like, do you travel a lot?
No, I
And
love
it,
traveling, but I don't really know.
yeah, it just part of me is like, we're on this planet, and yet the amount of it that we know, the amount we explore it's tiny. The more
Yes,
time we get,
I'm.
potentially we get to leave our imprints on different parts of the world. Like just that. And the planet is beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. And
Yes,
so
and I've been kind of be worried about my eco footprint. I mean, we're destroying our planet. I mean, we probably won't even be here by the time we get to 114. I mean, there's all that stuff.
says the optimist.
Oh, no, but I mean, I'm an optimist, but I do think we are. I mean, that's another
That's
conversation.
another
But I think we are doing a very good job of destroying the beautiful the planet that we live on. But that's a different conversation.
No, I think, look, regardless of your number, the reason I've set up the Million Hour Club is because
Yeah,
that's the aspiration. And once you
yeah,
set,
it's an absolutely brilliant concept. Brilliant. Yeah,
whatever you set, I always implore people to like, what's your number? And
yeah,
just edge towards that, whatever that number feels like, because then you've got that aspiration, right? And so what we do in the Million Hour Club is we test your biological age every 114 days because million hours, 114. So it gives you that sort of direction of travel. You know that which direction you're going. Are you becoming younger? Right?
yes. I think if someone said you live to 114 again, but you're not in pain, then that's a different.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And you're able to think and do,
yeah,
right? And listen, the important thing is it's what you do in this decade that sets you up for the next decade, is what you do in that
yeah.
decade that sets you up for the next. We've got to think. People find it really hard to think 10 years in ahead, it's
Yeah,
really,
yeah, of course.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
a lot of my friends are in their 60s because I'm in my late 50s, and this phrase "sniper alley" keeps appearing. I'd never heard of it before.
Okay.
What I sniper alley is if you get through your 60s. So a lot of people have said to me, your 60s is sniper alley. People are getting picked off. People start dying. You know,
Mm.
and if you get through sniper alley, you get to 70, you can breathe a sigh of relief. Is there a truth that the things start going wrong with you physically in your 60s? Is that true or is that just a myth?
It's is it a myth or is it true?
I mean, are our bodies just getting to the bit where we're no longer able to rely on the fact that we're young on a cellular level?
Yes, so when I do all the testing, I can see that potentially there is that risk of decline. But also realistically, Lucy, it can happen at any decade. Is
Right.
it more likely to happen at later decades? Yes, because those hallmarks of aging. So we've got 12 hallmarks of aging. And of course, this can all be cumulative over a lifetime of stress, over a lifetime of damage to your DNA, over a lifetime of not eating well, moving well, sleeping well. So yes, there is. You don't sleep, you sleep less than 6 hours a night. You think you can push through and you feel great in your 20s and 30s because you can do it. But what
Yeah.
you don't see is that the Alzheimer's that you get when you're 60 is because you didn't sleep when you were 40 or 30,
Ah,
right?
that's really interesting.
Yeah. So back to, yeah, listen, there's sniper rally at any stage. We've all heard the stories of people who've died young, died in their 30s, died in their 40s. It's been a shock.
Um,
And potentially that's because biologically they were older, right? They've been they're inflamed. There's inflammation going on in them.
Aging, yeah.
Aging.
So
Yeah.
all this stuff we know a lot more about than we used to,
Yeah.
which is helpful, isn't it? Um, so in these research, I know three questions at you, that studies show that the people that are the happiest are single women with no children.
Okay.
And for men, it's married men. So what's that about then? What, just is it stress that ages us? And what role does stress have? So single women, let's suggest don't have stress of looking after a husband and children, maybe. I mean, do you think that's part of it?
Mm.
And how can couples help each other? But we'll go to that in a minute.
Yeah, that's really interesting because there's again that gender difference in how we age is actually set at birth. It's already there. It's
Oh,
imprinted.
kidding.
Yes, yes, and we know that women live longer at the moment, right now. Women are living longer, but those last years are frailer.
Right,
And
right.
vice versa for men. Men are living less long, but they don't have that same degree of frailty. So back to what is it about a woman? And I'm actually not surprised that you're saying, single women, no children, because ultimately women through life take on that role of caregiver, of juggler, of multitasker more than men do. And again, appreciate generalizations here, but we do need to sort of talk in population terms and to terms of
Mhm,
these
mhm,
statistics
mhm.
as well. And that level of kind of cumulative juggle, call it stress, we're not allowing ourselves to ebb and flow. It's go, go, go. That has an imprint.
Yes, the stress, the go, go, go has an imprint.
Yes, yes. And then how do you define happiness? Right.
Yeah.
It's and again there's a whole directory of surveys and scoring and questionnaires and research tools to define happiness, but you've got that sort of eudaimonic happiness and that hedonistic happiness as well, haven't you? That in the moment feeling great because you've just done your hair or you smell lovely or someone's given you a beautiful compliment and makes you feel happy in the moment, and then you've got that deeper, fulfilled, content happiness as well. And we need both. If you again go back to biochemistry, if you look at sort of some of your neurotransmitters like dopamine, which is your
Mhm.
reward molecule, we're driven by that. We're looking for rewards. We're looking for that constant urge to satisfy the craving and to feel that level of happiness and have more of a dopamine flow as well. So we've got to be able to satisfy that. But there's also a longer term effect going on here as well.
And how does it work with couples? How can how does this all work with couples? There's a bit, we were talking about this before about how couples can support each other or how sometimes they might sabotage each other in this health journey.
Yeah, it's again, I see this a lot in couples. And when you say those vows, those I do's or whatever it is in your culture, nobody at that point is thinking that in sickness and in health, well, it's the thing that's going to come and change things in your relationship.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
and it really does. And it changes it for the person who's afflicted.
yeah.
And it also changes it for the person who's left
The carer.
and
Mm.
caring and supporting. And so I think what's really important is for couples to have these conversations early on, right? And I've got a couple actually in the Million Hour Club. They got married and they've promised each other 100 years together. Now they didn't get married at zero,
No,
right?
of course they didn't, because that would have been weird and freaky.
Right.
Oh, at
Exactly.
14,
No.
that's also a bit weird and freaky.
Exactly. But they've made that pledge to each other. And so to see each other out in health, not in sickness, is something I think right at the beginning of that relationship. Let's have those conversations about what's important to you in your health. How long do you want to live? How do you move? How do you nourish? How do you sleep? All these things. How compatible are you as couples? I've got many who are really dissociated in terms of that morning lark and night owl, for example.
Yeah.
So, having that discompatibility when you're trying to fall asleep, and that's when you're regenerating and everything's being washed out in your brain and you're repairing, and your partner next door is disturbing that because they're coming to bed later, it can, in fact, it can really implode in health diagnosis later to come, but you never relate that back to the annoying snoring partner whose snores were so beautiful at the beginning of
No,
your
no,
marriage.
and
Then
everything.
they're not. They're never beautiful.
No,
No.
and everything's that. No, I think no. There's a special place in hell for men that snore. Oh, there really is. There's a special place for them to go. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I've been with a snorer, and you get murderous thoughts because you're stressed, you're not sleeping, and then they're happily asleep going, and you
Yes.
want to kill them because
I,
you know that it's you it's affecting, and you're not the snorer.
I must show you this actually. I've got it on my desk, this little contraption. Have you seen one of these before? So what
Oh,
you do
that's
is
like one of those slim faster, those things that whip your tummy around.
put this on your finger and it's measuring your pulse. You put this on your chest and it's measuring the movement of your chest. And you put this on your wrist and it's
Okay.
measuring all your sleep data. And the importance of that is whilst you may want to get a dagger to your partner who's snoring next to you, potentially there's something more serious going on. And what that device I've just shown you measures is looks for sleep apnea. So
Yes.
where someone stops breathing in the night, and you might be, yes, the snoring stopped.
No,
And
but actually they've got sleep apnea, which is potentially life-threatening.
it is, it is. And then that connects to high blood pressure. And then high blood pressure, then it's that fatal heart attack. So the annoying snoring might be something heralding something even more important. So, again, back to amazing time we live in. We've got access to technology.
Yeah.
That's the thing I send to people's homes. Within 24 hours, we can know what's going on with that partner next door. And then we can really dive in and stop the snoring, like help it. So is that going to help your relationship? Of course it is.
Yeah, so what you're also about is couples having a health commitment to each other, which is sort of saying, I want you to value yourself
Mm,
enough to be fit and healthy.
yeah.
I want you to value our relationship and our love enough to make a commitment to fitness and health.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
all,
I think couples, I mean, I see couples now my age of 50s and 60s, and it tends to be, but isn't always the women that are going to, that are doing the fit, healthy stuff and eating chia seeds and blah, blah, doing overnight oats and whatever, whatever, whatever. And the men, because they're a certain generation, aren't really that willing to change their habits. And the women get very frustrated. But I think you told me you had a couple whereby, look, the woman was doing all that, but she had a more concerning biological age than the man who wasn't doing all that, was eating donuts or something.
yes, exactly. So a couple of things there. One, I think it's important to sort of pay homage to each being on your own journey. So when you say health and fitness, it can look very different
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
couple. But so long as you've both, as you say, made that commitment to value that in each other, then you've got to allow each other to go on that journey and push each other when needs be. But respect, it might look different. You might be the chia seed eating and he might be the outdoor walker or spending time socializing. Again, we know that having social people in your life, not being lonely, is an important part of living longer as well. So that's important to kind of register as well, that there are different approaches to this, and not, as you highlighted from what you just said, not to go on what it looks like from the outside, but also how committed are you to getting to know each other from an inside, because don't be fooled always by what you see is not always what you get as well. So yes, I've been looking after a couple who the female partner very focused on health, following a vegan approach to living, Pilates, all of that, and the male partner not quite as invested, very very social and outgoing and very bubbly and jolly, but not as focused on food and movement. And you can see it in their physique, the opposite expectation in terms of their biological age. The one you'd think would have a higher age, it's the opposite. And so, it's almost like a bit of a grief reaction. Like, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm eating chia seed, for God's sake. Why
What's
am I?
the point? Why don't I go sort of drink a bottle of wine and shove some chocolate down? Yeah. But okay, but why is that? Why is it? Yeah. I mean, if I was doing all that and it turned out that my biological age wasn't as great as I'd like it to be, I'd just be, yeah, I'd be like, why have I bothered then?
Yeah, it's because it's barking up the wrong tree. It's off the shelf care rather than strategic self care. You haven't looked at what your driver is. You've made the assumption that, if I eat like everybody else tells me to eat and go and be on a Pilates mat, I'll be fine. But if your driver is stress and cortisol and you're not handling that, you're not going to win the game. So you've really again got to look at your own personal drivers. Yeah.
Do you find that women are less healthy? Because do you think women are more stressed, or maybe they're not? Women tend to carry a lot of mental load. Women with children and jobs, I think, I just feel for all of us. I think we carry so much mental load.
Yeah. And you're right. I can't say I've noticed a big differentiation in stress from a testing perspective physiologically, but outwardly in how that feels, it can show up very, very differently as well. You know, men sometimes, how do they exhibit their stress? Through humor as well. So hiding, being that sort of ostrich, burying your head in the sand. Women, how do they express it? By being even more busy. So it shows as being busy. So it can look very, very different. But again, physiologically, your body doesn't care where that comes from.
Right.
It just knows it's mounting a stress response.
And do some people are kind of doomed from birth? Sorry, everybody, I don't, because genetically they're prone to high blood pressure or heart disease, or I don't know if that's true about cancer, but let's say something like heart disease. So I have heard men, say I'm very worried, and I take statins, and my father had a heart attack at 35 and died, and we have heart disease in our family.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant question, Lucy. So genetics plays on average about 30% part. Remember, back to lifestyle dictates lifespan. So you still got this big 60, 70%, 80% opportunity to kind of override what your genetics are telling you. This whole field of epigenetics, you get to switch the light on and off. So if you imagine your genes are a piano and a set of keys, well, you get to come along and choose what you're playing and create that melody of your life, right? And that's through your lifestyle. So I do see people who've got strong family history of cancer, for example, and I do this amazing cancer test, which picks up signals at a really deep level, a molecular level, way before you get anything on a breast scan, or way before you get a lump on your skin, or way before you get bleeding from your bowel. It's picking things up early, and the earlier you know this, and I know we can go on two tangents about this, is you're picking up things you might not need to know and creating more health anxiety. But for the right person, it can make a difference. And back to your sort of example of the heart attack, well, if you know that, be extra vigilant. Don't ignore the signals that you're getting. Don't ignore the test result you might get from your doctor that says your cholesterol's okay, it's fine. But I don't want fine, I want optimized. And it's not all about cholesterol. There's even more important markers to be looking at when it comes to your what I call cardiometabolic health, your insulin. There's wonderful other areas in your lipids that you want to be testing. So the point here is, if there is something in your family, it's even more reason to pay attention, but no reason to say this is my destiny.
Mm. It's big work, isn't it? Because part of me goes, oh my God, I don't know if I want to know if I'm about to get brain cancer. Maybe I just like to get brain cancer and not know I'm about to, blah, blah, blah. But what you're saying is, if forewarned is forearmed, it's better to know so that you can do something about it. Also, you're going to save the NHS puzzle money. I mean, it's like, rather than reacting to something, you're getting it way back then,
Yeah.
so that hopefully you're not sitting in the doctors being, having a terrible meeting with an oncologist or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you've got to kind of take a big deep breath and go, okay, I'm going to be responsible about my health.
Yeah. And just a shift from reactive to proactive.
Yeah, proactive is the word I'm looking.
Right? Shift from sickness to health. Shift from a burden on my shoulders to feeling lighter. And that's what knowing does. And because really it's about getting to the core, having control, having ownership, having responsibility, and having empowerment. And tell me you wouldn't rather be in control and have ownership and responsibility and empowerment, or would you rather just give that away?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And then people say things like, let's say people who smoke a lot. I have an ex-husband who smokes a lot. And then there are all sorts of stuff going on. And he was like, I can't believe, I'm ill. And I'd be like, well, what can't you believe about that? You smoke 20 cigarettes a day. Well, I mean, But and then they says, well, my granny smoked 30 Rothmans and she didn't die till she was 102.
Yeah, yeah, lucky granny, right?
Okay,
Lucky
so that's the right
granny.
response, isn't it? Well, lucky granny. But that's
Right,
just one person.
exactly. Do you want to rely on luck?
Lucky
Do you
granny.
want to really rely on knowing? You choose. And people have choice, you have agency, you do get to choose, but you will always find what you want to seek. So you will find those stories of the smoking
Yeah,
granny
well,
you want
she
to.
drank a bottle of whiskey a day. Yeah, you'll find yes, that's interesting. We have bias, don't we? Information bias. We'll find the information that will say, okay, well, you can drink a bottle of whiskey a day and smoke 3 packets of Rothmans because that's the information you've looked for. Whereas actually, the truth about that is you can do whatever you want to do. You do whatever you want to do, but
Yeah,
there might well be consequences of that that you may not like.
yeah, absolutely. No, totally agree. And I think you've got to decide which camp you want to fit in, really. Would you rather be that, the soaring eagle flying high, who's got their eyes focused, who gets to see what feels invisible, who is in control, who knows when to swoop, who knows when to sort of hold back and have that kind of ability to be sharp and on it? Or do you want to be the ostrich burying their head in the sand? You get to choose. There is, for me, I truly believe in respecting this incredible vessel of our life and doing what I need to do to take care of it and be here for as long as possible.
Great. So, how can people come and find you? I mean, if they wanted to come and know more about this and get, get the tests done and get the support. So, I imagine that you test people, a report comes back, and then you help people make the changes that they need to make, choose to make.
Yes, of course. So it's not just about test, have a report
Yes,
and
yes,
find
yes.
tick
So,
the
oh
box.
no, your cortisol levels are off the scale. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I know my cortisol levels can get very high because I can feel it in my body. What I
Yeah.
don't know what to do about that.
No, exactly. And
Stop,
timing is
stop
everything.
being stressed.
Exactly. No, precisely. So yes, it's testing, but it's also action planning. It's accountability. It's having the support. It's having the expertise by your side. It's having a place to ask questions. It's being able to be in charge of your own health destiny. And yes, start with knowing your numbers. That's the key thing. So and before then, I do believe in sort of a almost a three-tiered approach: foundational, functional, focal. Get that foundational aspect right. Really understand your lifestyle. Find out your LQ, your longevity quotient. Know what that starting point is for you. Then move into functional, understand your data, have these amazing tests. Just pop onto my website, you'll be able to see more information there, dralkapatel.com. You can do your LQ on there as well, dralkapatel.com. And then get into the focal area, the real finesse, the beauty of what you can unravel and really zone in on and target. And all of this, my code of practice, Lucy, is what I call the health hacking code, which is again, hack your own health. Please do, like, take over your own health, be in control of it. And it uses data and devices to make decisions so that we really can get that eagle eye onto that epicenter of your health. Love it. Love it.
If you find something awful,
Mm.
like, I don't know, something life-threatening, but your information tells you, oh God, what do you, I mean, do you, or, what do you do if it comes back and it's like, oh no, your curtain's in 5 years? Sorry, I don't mean to be glib, but it's like, how do I tell this person that that's
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I've been a doctor for over 25 years now, sharing information, sharing news, providing a supportive space to do that. It's not something that I need to be worrying or thinking about. It's conversation, it's communication, it's so important. And it's picking up the signals from the person opposite me as to how they want information conveyed to them. And you'd be surprised, Lucy, even a biological age test, in fact, it was today I told somebody that they're 44 years older than they are.
good
Now,
God, 44?
yes, years older. Yeah, this is a
That's
young person, I say, in their 30s who's sort of, in their now late 70s. And that can feel like a grief reaction.
totally, I get that.
So even that, I might not give you a big diagnosis of cancer, but I'm telling you that your years are slipping. That needs real sensitivity to have that discussion as well. So want, please, anyone listening, don't feel like it's, you just get thrown this report and get to figure it out all yourself. You're not, there's me, there's someone always by your side to provide that guiding hand of understanding and support as well.
And let's say you get the diagnosis that you're 44 years older than your actual sort of, your age, as it were. You can change that, right?
Yeah. Do you remember the playground riddle? What goes up but never comes down?
Is it, I don't know.
Well, the answer was always your age, right? It can only go up.
Oh,
Okay.
I never remember that. That's a very good one. Yeah, your age.
And now it's amazing because that's no longer the truth.
Right.
That's
So
the
the
wrong answer.
person that gets the sort of difficult news, so you're 34, but actually you're 78,
Yes.
don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our job now is to bring that down. And we're living in an age where we can do that.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it?
Wonderful.
So tell us where we can find you again so everyone can know. You're on Insta. I mean, tell us where people can find you because there's lots of stuff on your website, loads and loads and loads and loads of information. And if you sign up to Alka's newsletter, you get a lot of generous information. So there's a lot to gain. So where can they all find you to get all your knowledge?
Wonderful. So yes, I'm on the socials, all the socials, Dr. Alka Patel UK. You'll find me on Instagram and LinkedIn if you want to connect through there. And the website, dralkapatel.com. The first thing I'd encourage you to do is take that LQ, find out your LQ, and then you'll automatically get into my own ecosystem and be able to receive lots of valuable information and insights through my newsletters and emails as well. And then on the website, there's more information about testing and everything else as well. So do please kind of then reach out and let's have a conversation.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been really fascinating.
Loved
And
it.
if we can
Amazing.
all look as good as you, we'll all be happy.
By the way, I probably should just share my biological age, shouldn't I,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah. Well, how old are you, like in years on the planet, like normal years?
Right, yes, normal years, chronological years, you mean? So
Chronological years.
chronological years. Chronological years, I am 52,
Right.
and biological years, I am 20.
What the beep? You're 20?
Yes. So that's age reversing in motion. It is possible.
Forever.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's really interesting because I've tested many years in a row, and the last 2 years, I haven't aged a single year biologically.
So what's that man that everyone talks about that just spends his life in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber?
Yes.
You know,
Brian Johnson, who's yes, wanting to live a very long life.
yeah,
Yes.
but he's also living an incredibly dull life where all he does is live in an oxygen chamber, as far as I can work out. So don't, I mean, honestly, genuinely, I'm like, if that's what it takes to live forever, just to be in a hyperbaric oxygen, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's very different with you. You're living your life.
Yes.
Your biological age is 20, so you're 32 years younger than your chronological age, and it's not even getting older. You are a walking advert for what you do.
Thank you, Lucy. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.